Okay, hey everybody, it's Luther Wilson III on another YouTube video. Today is Monday, November 11th, 2024, so I appreciate you tuning in. In today's session, I want to talk more about what I do, okay? So I've had people, friends, associates along the way. Of course, they know that I do real estate. As a lot of you know, I'm a real estate broker, real estate investor. My background's in property management. I've been working with investors and investing kind of on and off for over a decade. And I've had people, along the way kind of ask like, well, what is it that you do though? And I can tell them the titles that I've had, some of the stuff that general ideas, but I kind of want to dig in a little bit today. Okay. So a lot of I want to educate, inspire, and collaborate. And as a real estate practitioner who has been investing and has almost always wanted to invest, I especially want to encourage those real estate practitioners and those newer investors who are trying to figure out how they can get in, how they can grow, and all that good stuff. And so I've talked about it on some of my past videos, okay, my background in property management and sales as a realtor and agent, working with lots of investors, okay? We're here in the Kansas City market, and so for a number of reasons, our area, the Midwest, we have been able to draw in a lot of out-of-state investors, okay? Even out of the country investors who see opportunities here to be able to purchase properties for relatively cheap, okay? And so that's been my primary focus. Is working with investors who want to do purchases, rehabs, resales, purchase, renovate, and keep properties, all right? And so along the way, I've been able to, see some opportunities and grow my portfolio with some partners as well, okay? And so where to start, like, I kind of just go off the cuff freestyle. I brought some notes that I'll probably get into a little bit later. But today, what I do is a little bit different than what I was doing last year, let alone 5 years ago or 8 years ago. And so as it stands this year in particular, and I think it's timely because we're toward the end of the year, and it's forced me to kind of look at some of my numbers and the results from this year, okay? And so this year I've been mostly acting as a real estate agent, okay? So I have helped mostly investors do seller finance transactions. Again, you can refer back to some of my past videos. One of my specialties as a real estate practitioner is the creative financing, the various, types of seller finance transactions, helping landlords, helping rehabbers to do those types of transactions has been a big thing. So this year, that's a good portion of my transactions, all right? And then as an investor, I have my own portfolio, okay? So part of what I do is with my partners, okay, is acquiring properties and going through that process, managing my investments, managing my assets, and so forth, all right? And then the other thing that I've been working on this year pretty heavy is as a broker, helping investors to source and secure capital, all right? So that's been another source of revenue and a number of transactions that I've done or been a part of this year as well, okay? And then as real estate professionals, investors, there's a pretty close-knit community. A lot of the players, a lot of the heavy hitters know each other. And so the referral business is a key part of that too. And so there've been a number of transactions this year that I've been a part of doing just referrals, where I get a lead or I connect with somebody, and I may not necessarily be able to help them directly, but I can get them in touch with a contractor or a property manager or a lender, okay, who can help get them sorted out, and then I can be a part of that transaction as well. And so this year, I've done 1 or 2 transactions a month with all of the things that I just listed. Last year, it was 3 or 4 transactions a month, okay? And so let's see, 2019 is when I really got more serious about investing, growing my own portfolio, seeking out outside capital for what I now know as private equity. I didn't even know that was what I was doing. Okay. And so the last 5 years, as I've worked with a couple different partners doing the private equity, I have been able to grow my portfolio a little bit more, okay? And then I've been able to help other investors grow their portfolios and do deals as well, okay? And so part of what I have done is I put together what I called a real estate investor concierge program, okay? It was the start of it was January 2022 when I officially put it together, and I saw a need, I saw a gap, I saw a number of gaps in the industry, okay? And I wanted to do something about it, okay? I guess it's part of my personality. I'm a little stubborn, and I like, working through challenging situations and so forth, and helping other people through situations. And so that kind of how the real estate investor concierge program got started. I saw investors out of state and in state here in the Kansas City market who were busy, right? They most of them had already done some type of real estate purchases or investments, and they're working. They have families. They have their own business. They have full-time job, whatever the case may be, and they need assistance with real estate investing of some type, whether it's finding an opportunity, getting the financing straight, getting through a renovation project, and just general almost coaching and consulting in a way. And then from there, you got the resale, and then you got property management too. Well, I helped investors through that entire process, okay? And it was very challenging, pretty exciting, and it was kind of fun. And so I have since then have helped 5 investors through that process, okay? And as the market has kind of shifted and evolved, I, of course, have had to modify that and be more mindful about how I move through that process this year. But it worked out. All 5 clients, they paid a fee up front, okay? I was able to consult with them and kind of coach them in a way. And with me being a real estate agent, broker, I could help them, find an opportunity, get it closed, and then kind of go from there. All right. And so that is something that I see, growing in the future. I, of course, again, have had to modify that, but I think there's a lot of people out there who are busy and they need assistance through the real estate investing process, however that looks, okay? And so keep me in mind, all right, if you are an investor and you want to learn more about that, or if you are a practitioner, okay, a contractor, property manager, or a fellow real estate agent, and you want to learn more how you might be able to do that, because there's some really good opportunities to make that happen. And for those that are curious, 2022, the fee up front was $3,500. So there was 4 investors that I helped through that process. $3,500 fee up front. We talked basically every week. All right. And then we went through, even before we had, agreed like, hey, we're going to do this thing, we're going to rock together. We talked and consulted and got on the same page about, a general idea of how we were going to make this thing happen. All right. And then, of course, along the way, there's the purchase, there's commissions associated with that, getting through the renovation, and then on from there. 2023, okay, fast forward a little bit, I upped that fee. The upfront fee was $5,000 for 2023 because as I realized, this was a lot more work than I thought it would be, okay? And the market was a little bit different. And so finding really good, deeply discounted, on market or off market investor type of opportunities where we could do value add, because that's what most of us are taught to do, rather. That's what a lot of us are taught to do. That's where a lot of us see success. Okay, last year or so has been last 2 years rather, has been a little bit more challenging to make that happen. And I'm circling back because I didn't mention it before, but I thought it was important. I wanted to talk about more of the process, the nuts and bolts. Okay, so when I work with an investor, all right, and they're looking at purchasing, they want to acquire an investment property, whether it be for short-term transaction or long-term buy and hold cash flow, which is what I push for more often than not. Okay, so someone reaches out to me, or I may reach out to them. We connect on social media. It might be a referral. I might meet them at a networking event, however it happens. This individual or couple or partnership, whoever it is, expresses interest in doing real estate. They hear about me, they like how I move, there's a synergy there, we want to collaborate on something, and so we got to, as we're building the relationship, we're talking about my experience, their experience, what they're looking to do, okay, and then what's happening in the market. How can we make that happen? All right. And so I mentioned the real estate investor concierge program earlier. I mentioned, being a realtor and some of my background. The best clients that I've had, okay, we met, we spoke, we got on the same page, we had agreements in place, key part, all right? And the best clients that I've ever had, they had capital to invest, right? They were ready to spend money. Okay, they had some experience investing in real estate. Some of them had no experience. But when we spoke, they had a certain amount of capital, liquid, that they were ready to spend, okay? They may have had a lender lined up, maybe a hard money lender to help leverage with the purchase renovation process, or they may have even had a broker or lender or mortgage company picked out for when they were going to do the refi, if they were going to do the BRRRR strategy, or if they were just going to purchase a property turnkey, maybe do, value add from there. They had that lined up, okay? There was a certain amount of capital that they had liquid, however that looked, and they had, in a lot of cases, some type of leverage or financing sorted out, okay? A number of investors that I've worked with went straight cash for their purchases, okay? That was a lot years ago, okay? I remember between 2014 and 2017 doing tons of transactions that were straight cash for my investor clients who were buying up properties in and around Kansas City. A lot of them were urban core inner city hood properties, a lot cheaper than they are today. So they could go to cash route. And then later on, if they wanted to leverage, they could refi, right? Excuse me. But that's a key part, okay, for those real estate practitioners, my fellow realtors, and for the investors who are wanting to work with an agent or an operator or practitioner like myself, is getting on the same page. They have disposable or investable or certain amount of liquid capital that they have beforehand. And then a lot of times, not all the time, but they have some kind of financing prepared. They're going to be leveraging. And I think the leverage piece in today's market, okay, I don't know if I said it, yeah, I did say it, but it's fourth quarter 2024, okay? So leverage has been very key for me and my clients, the investors that I work with. And then having that agreement in place with your partner or with your agent, whoever's assisting you, and then you have some form of agreement and commitment, and as part of the synergy And then from there, we go and we look for product, and we go hitting the pavement. I go put offers out. I talk with whoever I run into or meet in person, who I talk to as many people as I can. Once I have a good client on deck, we're on the same page about what it is. We have an intention, a benchmark or a goal. We're on the same page. We have the agreement in place. I have a buyer agency agreement signed with them. When I do my real estate investor concierge program, there's an agreement that gets signed there. And then I can hit the ground running and I can seek out opportunities, okay? A lot of investors, a lot of real estate agents, struggle with that for whatever reasons. We get taught the education, the training around real estate investing is go find the deal and then figure out the rest later on. Well, I've tried that a lot and failed at it a ton. And what has worked best for me and my partners and my clients is those things that I mentioned before. We have a certain amount of capital that we can place or invest. We're on the same page about what's realistic and what's doable or how that might look, because we may need to put in several offers in order to find that deal, okay? We have the agreements in place, and then we can hit the ground running, right? That is huge, okay? That's worked with all of the clients that I've worked with over the last 5 years and my partners. We had a game plan, the agreements are in place, and then we hit the ground running, and we can know that we can perform, okay? We are able and willing to put up earnest money. And when it comes time, when we find that really good opportunity, there's no question about it whatsoever that we can close it and get it done. All right, that is a beautiful thing for investors and real estate practitioners out there, because, for whatever reasons, like we get in a flurry and we find an opportunity, and a lot of times we don't have the agreements in place, and then the next thing you know, you lose the opportunity, or someone comes in and snakes you, or the seller goes with someone else, or you think you're going to be in on the deal, but you end up just selling it and maybe getting an assignment or commission, and then that's it. Like, for what I've pushed mostly is long-term buy and hold. The short-term stuff, the wholesale, hotel, fix and flip can be very good. We can do that. We may continue to do that in some form or fashion. I'm somewhat reluctant to help investors through that process, but it's still doable. Again, we push for long-term, and that's why the seller financing on the back end is so key, which brings me to my next point, because I talked about the process, what I do, okay, working with investors who are wanting to buy. Now, when I work with an investor who wants to sell, a lot of it the last couple of years has been helping tired landlords and exhausted house flippers do seller financing. Key part for that is they have to have the financing, their refi done, okay? Because a lot of times they purchased the property, they got through the rehab, they borrowed short-term debt. It could have been a hard money loan or a private money lender that loaned them the money. They have 6 to 12 months to pay that off. So they have to refi or they have to resell, okay? If they want to keep it and we do seller financing, I'm going to talk with them and confirm whether or not they've got the long-term debt in place before we start marketing to find an owner finance buyer, because again, a lot of these are installment agreements in the form of contract for deed, few lease options. We're going to be looking at doing more of those in the future, okay? But that's where I work with sellers, investors on the back end, and definitely having an agreement in place with them so that they understand a little bit more about the process, what our fees are, how long we have, the price and the terms, and then we can collaborate and hit the ground running from there. All right, so I hope that makes sense. That's basically what I do. In today's market, a lot of my time as a real estate practitioner and an investor, of course, is managing my assets, right? Working with my partners, a little bit of raising capital, trying to, continue investing and growing the portfolio. But a lot of what I've been spending my time doing lately, besides working my job, because I still work a full-time job, okay? Besides doing that, I'm doing a lot of advising and consulting and presenting and educating to property owners, to aspiring real estate investors, to seasoned real estate investors on what they have going on, what they're looking to do, the services that I provide, and how I might be able to help them. So I will spend 15 minutes, half an hour, sometimes an hour or two, getting to know the individual, the people who I'm looking to serve, and figuring out if I can really help them, because I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. I don't want to make the commitment to help them do what they want to do when I don't think it's really reasonable, or it's going to wear me out and drain me trying to get them there. Because again, I've worked with a lot of investors over the last decade plus, and that's a big reason that real estate agents poo-poo on investors, is because we listen to the investor, okay? And a lot of times it may work, a lot of times it may not work, but as the pro, like, it's our job to know what's happening in our market, what's happening in our economy, as boots on the ground, as the pro, and they have to follow our lead to a certain degree. And if they aren't willing to do that and we sign to help them out, what do you think? Like, that's why we get drained a lot of the times. So we got to be on the same page. We got to have the capital. We got to have the agreements in place. And then we can put in offers till we're blue in the face to find what we need. Okay? So that's a key part. A lot of what I do now, okay, is presenting and research and networking and talking with, for every client that I land, I might have to talk to 10, 20, 30 people and get on the same page with them. And I can say, hey, I love what you're doing. I see that you've had some success and I really, really want to help you, but I don't know if I can do it. I may refer you out to someone, okay, who might be able to invest and pour more time and energy into that. But based on my last 30 transactions and my last 25 projects, here's where I see some opportunities. Here's the reality of it. Here's the actual numbers. Okay, cool. You ready to rock with that? Again, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say, yeah, we could do this, 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 and this. I'm going to say, look, here's where we're at. And if we want to give it a shot, okay, what maybe we're close on what I believe is the reality and what your expectations are, and we're willing to give it a shot. That's where the agreement becomes even more important, because as I know, you may know, maybe you don't know, if we're not close on what I think is the reality and what your expectations are, I'm gonna have to work harder in order to make that happen. And I want to make sure that we're on the same page about the compensation and the fees, the agreement, and then there's some trust there. And then I can go hit the ground running, right? And put out offers till I'm blue in the face, okay? Knowing that, hey, it's gonna take time and energy to find this, and I'm probably gonna negotiate for a higher fee, and if not a higher fee, ownership of some sort, just FYI, all right? So, hope all that makes sense, all right? Stay tuned. I'm gonna continue to put out content, videos every single week. I'm active not only on YouTube, but on Instagram and Facebook as well. It's Luther Wilson III, Upside Property Services. Okay, part of what I want to do, part of my dream is to help create more wealth for my partners, for my investors. Okay, so if that sounds cool to you, hit me up. All right, peace.